Okay, apologies for this reflection over here. Not much I can do about it for the moment. 2023 12A problem 6. Points A and B lie on the graph of y equals log base 2 of x. The midpoint of AB is 6, 2. What is the positive difference between the x coordinates of A and B? We probably need to represent A and B, these points, as something, and the natural way to represent them to me would be that for capital A we let x be little a, and then we'd have log base 2 of A here, and B with little b and log base 2 of B. Now, what is a midpoint? These are the questions you want to be asking, and you want to answer them as quick as you can. The best way to state it in this case would be that it's an average. And so we're going to have an average of the x coordinates, a plus b over 2 equals 6. I'm just going to write equals 12. The 2 is here in my mind, but we multiply it to get 12. Then you're going to have log base 2 of a plus log base 2 of b, which I'm just going to immediately write as log base 2 of ab because I've got my log rules memorized. And generally speaking, when you can manipulate something, just do it. Change it however they throw it at you. Make it look different. Major theme on the test. So log base 2 of AB is going to be divided by 2 but equal to 2. So if you want to write it, and then you're going to get rid of it and put it right here with the other 2 to get that it's 4. So now what? Well, you've got log base 2 of AB is 4. What I do next I call smiley frog face. 2 to the 4th power equals AB. And I call it that because I had a stuffed animal as a kid that looked a lot like this with big eyes and a smile like that. So I call it smiley frog face. I like visual representations of what I do because it helps me think. So I've got A times B. The product of A and B is 16. So we have this significant conclusion and we have this significant conclusion. And naturally, we'd like them to do stuff together. The best way is probably if I square this, you're going to get 2 of those. So that's what I'm going to write. A squared plus B squared plus 32. 2AB is 2 times 16, 32 is equal to 144. Subtract 32 to get 112. And let's take stock of where we're at. Again, what is the positive difference? Positive difference means we're going to want the absolute value of A minus B, of the x coordinates. Okay, well, we kind of have that close here. If I could just square root A minus B squared, the square root of a perfect square is the absolute value of that thing. Remember from 2021 10B problem 2? So let's go ahead and write that here, and we're going to subtract 2AB and subtract 32 because again those two amounts are equivalent. That means this is going to equal the square root of 80. This is the A minus B squared quantity. We're square rooting it. It's going to give us our answer, and that's going to equal 4 radical 5. Answer D. That's it. Let's get to problem 7. Okay, and so for the next problem on the 2023 10A, it's problem number 9. On the 12A, it's problem 7. A digital display shows the current date as an 8-digit integer consisting of a 4-digit year followed by a 2-digit month followed by a 2-digit date within the month. For example, Arbor Day this year is displayed as, I'm sure we all knew what Arbor Day was. Of course we did. It's just like, all the holidays that we know. So 2023 04/28. Okay, but now we know. Now we know when Arbor Day is. That's good, I suppose. So 2023 04/28. 4 being the month, 28 the date. For how many dates in 2023 does each digit appear an even number of times in the 8-digit display for that date? So we want 2023. So we know that we're starting 2023. I'm thinking I've got 2 2s right now, and I could either have 2 or 4 2s. And I thought that was my casework in the beginning. So initially I would say case 1, there is 2 digits of 2s, and case 2, there is 4 2s. And I thought I would divide it like this. And so you start with that kind of thinking, at least for me. And then I think, okay, but what about the 03? There's only one of those. Why don't we focus on that? If I have to have at least one more 0 and one more 3. Let's decide where they go. Well, the natural thing would be to make March go here, right? March, and then I would need at that point, we've got an even number. All I need is the other 2 numbers to match. Well, it can't be 0, 0, and it can't be 33. So we're going to have to go with 11 and 22, and you get 2 cases in March. Now, let's try putting both of them on the end. So I could have 20, 23, and then end on the 30th. Okay, well, if I do that, I've got 2 3s, 2 0s, 2 2s. I'm going to need these 2 to be the same. I think the only one we got for that one is 11, right? We don't have any ones that can have a duplicate number in the month except for 11. 12 doesn't do it. 10 doesn't do it. So, but that does make us think about 10. Maybe it's got a 0. Maybe we can do something with that for the next case. So 1 here. Then we'll have 20, 23. And we're going to have to do something else with the 3. What if we could put it instead of 30 as 03? So if we put it as 03, again, keeping the 3 and 0 together for now, trying to exhaust all possibilities, then you know you're going to, again, have this happen for the 11th month. So you're going to get another one there. Now we'll do 2023, and this time there's no more ways to put the O and the 3 together. So let's think about where the 3 could go. I don't have a 13th month. In the 3rd month, they're already together. So if I'm going to have a 3, and my only options are 13 or 03, but we can't even do 13, so we really just had it in the month. We cannot have the number 3 in the month now, so it's going to have to go in the date. And if it's not going to be 03, maybe it could be 13. We also might have 31. We don't have 32, so let's go back and do 31 first. So if I do 31, I now have to have a 1 and a 0. That would have to go here because we now have to duplicate the 1 and the 0 has not been matched up yet. That's going to give us 1 case. So now we're going to go 2023, and you're going to say, well, are there all any more for 31? I don't see how I have to have a 1. Oh, I do. I could have a 10. And so there we go. That's going to have a 2 right there because you say, and this is why you check those things with the exact way I just did. You say, it's go 1, I can't, oh, I can reverse it. Yeah, 10, October. Does October have 31 days? Yes, it does. We just had Halloween. January has 31 days also. Ask those questions and confirm that they work. So now 2023, then we're going to say, if it's not 31 and it's not 30, we already did 30, I'm going to have to put the 3 in the ones place. And I can't put 03, so I'm going to have to do 1, 3. So if I do 1, 3, I now have 2 3s. I need a 1 and a 0. And again, you're going to have 01 and 10. So 01 and 10 will both get that. That's going to give us 2 more ways. Okay, so now what? If I do 2023, and this is going together here, those go together there, that goes with that. So now if I do 2023 and I put a 23 here, well, in that case I have to have another 2 and I still have to get a 0, so there's only one. That's going to have to be 02. Now, are there any other places to put the 3? I've done 13, 23. Is there a 33? No. I've done 03, 13, 23. Good. 30, 31. There's no 32. This has got to be it. We did put the 3 in here. There's no 30 that goes there. There's no other month that even has 3. Satisfied. 2, 4, 6, 3 more, 9. Also, it was the last number on there. We are done. Let's get to the next problem. And the final problem of this rapid fire set, the 2023 AMC 10A problem 10, but it's also the 12A problem 8, not the last problem for that rapid fire. Maureen is keeping track of the mean or average of her quiz scores this semester. If Maureen scores an 11 on the next quiz, her mean will increase by 1. I like to quantify what's happening as I'm going through it. It seems that we kind of need to know what her mean is currently, or to kind of reason with this. So we're going to represent it the way I like to do average, which is the sum of n things divided by n. We don't know how many things. The n is a subscript. The result is the mean. And you can immediately cross multiply, and you will know that the sum of n things is equal to the mean times the number of things. Now, if she scores an 11, that means her previous sum subscript n plus 11, because all the previous quiz scores added up plus the new 11, but now you're going to divide by n plus 1, then because there's one new test, right? You had n things here, you added one thing, you now have n plus 1 things. So her mean will increase by 1. This will become n plus 1. Let's go ahead and move that over to get that the sum of n plus 11 will equal mn plus m. That is the m distributed, and now the 1 will distribute plus n plus 1. Okay, next one up. Then we say if she scores an 11 on each of the next 3 quizzes, let's put that one here. Sum of n, there's 3 new quizzes, so you're going to be dividing by n plus 3. And it doesn't say the next 3 quizzes after that one. It says the next 3 quizzes because they haven't happened yet. Neither has this one. Okay? So then it says that you're going to add 33 because it's 11 times 3. Her mean, her average, will increase by 2. So that's going to be m plus 2. Let's go ahead and cross multiply. We're going to get the sum of n plus 33, mn plus 3m. And 2n, and then 6. 2 times n, 2 times 3. Binomial distribution. Okay, so then, or multiplication, whatever you want to call it. So now what? Let's take this one right here, because I kind of want to line it up. The sum subscript n plus 11 equals mn plus m plus n plus 1. If I take this one and subtract this one, those are going to cancel. 33 minus 11 is 22. I will have 22 equals, the mn's cancel. 3m minus m is 2m. 2n minus n is n. 6 minus 1 is 5. So I'll move the 5 over. We now know that 2m plus n is equal to 17. Further, we haven't done anything with this. It's kind of lingering in the back of your thoughts, or it should be. What could we do with that? Well, we might just look here even. You could, or maybe even over here, you could just take it and cancel it out. This one and that one, because they're the same thing. So now we can say 6 off of 33 is 27, and you're going to have 27 equals 3m plus 2n. Moving this 6 to the 33 and keeping those 2. 3m plus 2n. Now, we want to solve for what? That's an m. 3m plus 2n. What is the mean of her quiz scores currently? That's the m, right? So we kind of want to keep the m and get rid of the n. So in that case, let's go ahead and multiply the top one by negative 2. So I'm going to have negative 4m minus 2n equals negative 34. Add these two together, the n's go bye-bye. We get negative m equals negative 7, which means positive m is positive 7. And we're done with this problem, and we're getting to the next one. Okay, let's do the 2023 10A problem 11, also the 12A problem 9. For the AMC 10, this was the first one that I took more time than I should have. I made a couple of calculation errors and had to restart. And then I had to check it again and I had to restart again. And so I lost probably 2 minutes on this problem with silly calculation mistakes trying to go quick. So let's talk about how it goes. A square of area 2 is inscribed, that's this one, inscribed in a square of area 3. Creating 4 congruent triangles as shown below. What is the ratio of the shorter leg, let's call this A, to the longer leg, we'll call that b. And it said that they're congruent, correct, congruent triangles. So this would also be a and b, this would also be a and b, this would also be a and b. And so our goal is to find a over b. Now, there's a number of ways that you can get some equations out of what's going on here. The first thing is that we should be able to know that since the area of the inner square is 2, then this must be the square root of 2 on each edge. That would mean that a squared plus b squared is equal to 2 by Pythagorean theorem. Next, what can we say? The outer one had a square of area 3. That means its side length is the square root of 3. And so we could say that a plus b is the square root of 3. Furthermore, we know the difference in their areas is 1. And I can take this triangle and make them into a rectangle, which is how I like to do those because it goes a little faster. And since it's a rectangle, its area is just AB, and these can also make one, and you're going to have 2AB. So we now know that 2AB has to equal the difference in their areas. 1, we'll go ahead, you could cut in half. Let's go ahead and do that also. AB equals 1/2. I'm seeing lots of options right now. We've got this if we square it. It's going to have one of those terms. We know what a squared plus b squared is. Let's start going to town and trying stuff. We don't know, right? You just got to kind of see what's going to happen. You have a lot of ideas. They're probably going to bear fruit. I'm going to square this one and get a squared plus 2ab plus b squared equals 3. Then a squared plus b squared is 2. We've already kind of found the information that we're going to get from that, so that's not going to help us. Let's think about what else we can do. We're looking for a over b, and we know that we have ab equals 1/2. What I like to say is create what you want. If you want a over b, then make it. So I'm going to go ahead and divide by b squared, and over here multiply by 1 over b squared, because that's going to give me a over b on this side, and now we might start to have some ideas. So I've got a over b is 1 over 2b squared. If I could just find b, or b squared, then we would find our answer. So what can I do with that? Well, what if I had just divided by b instead of b squared? Then I would have had, since ab was equal to 1/2, if I had just divided by b, I would get that a is 1 over 2b. So if a is 1 over 2b, maybe I could plug it into here or here and try to solve that equation. Because we're looking for b squared, I kind of think it might go better in here, because then I'll have b squareds running around. Let's see what we got. If I plug 1 over 2b here, you're going to get 1 over 4b squared plus b squared is going to equal 2. Now I'm going to immediately multiply by 4b squared. I'm going to come over here to do this work. So I'm going to have 1 plus 4b to the 4th equals 8b squared. Let's move the 8b squared to this side. So we'll have 4b to the 4th minus 8b squared plus 1 equals 0. Okay, but now we got 4th power running around, but maybe we could just think about it as b squared could be the letter u. We'll do a u substitution, knowing that we just want, I usually use u from calculus. You do a lot of u substitutions there. So b squared, u is the same thing as that. So if I can just find u, I would plug it in and we'd be done. 1 over 2u is now our answer as well. So I'm going to make this 4u squared minus 8u plus 1 equals 0. And you might wonder, well, does that factor? Doesn't look like it's going to factor that well. Maybe it does, but maybe we could do something. We got this 4 and the 8. Why is 8 a multiple of 4? Is it a clue? I don't know. Let's just divide by 4 and see what it looks like. If I divide by 4, it's going to say u squared minus 2u, and I'm going to automatically move negative 1/4 now to the other side. It's actually 1/4 to the other side, but now becomes negative. That looks like we want to complete the square. And so we're just going to add 1 and add 1. And what that gives now is u minus 1 squared equals 3/4. So if I was to square root, I'm going to get u minus 1 equals plus or minus. Probably couldn't be minus, could it? I don't know, let's put plus or minus for a second. You're going to get root 3/2, and then you're going to get that u is equal to 1 plus or minus root 3/2. Now let's think about what root 3/2 is. It's about 1.7/2. So you're less than 1 right here, which means you could technically subtract it. We've got 1.4 here. If I added 1 plus 1.4 being about root 2, good idea to memorize the approximations of those two. They come up a lot, and it helps with reasoning as we're seeing right now. So if I did 1 plus 1.7/2 approximation, it's almost 1. You're almost to 2. That would mean, oh, but that's b squared as well. I was thinking it wouldn't work with the side. So I don't know which one it is off the top of my head. I don't know. Let's just see if we can look at the answers. We've got things with root 3 and root 2 and 2 and root 2 and 1. We know that a plus b, we know b squared. Oh, b squared has to be less than 2, but it would be less than 2 because you're adding 1 plus a number less than 2. So maybe it could be. In fact, if you took away this number, it would make b really small. And we know it needs to be about 1.7. There we go. That's kind of what we needed. If we, basically what I'm saying is this. If we took 1 plus about, I don't know, 0.85, you're at 1.85, but if you subtracted it, it would mean that b squared was about 0.15. And that would mean b is pretty small. A would be making up the majority of this, and so that doesn't really make sense. So let's make b the larger one of these two and make it 2 plus, I'm sorry, not b, but u, 2 plus root 3 all over 2, combining them to be one fraction. Don't forget, what is u? U is b squared. So we got that around here somewhere, right here. So since u is b squared, we're just going to plug it in right here. It's going to be 1/2 times, and if you think of it instead as times 1/b squared, what does that make it? The reciprocal of b squared. So if this is b squared, I want the reciprocal of that, which is 2/2 plus rad 3. Those are going to cancel. Now your answer, don't forget this is the answer when we get it, is 1/2 plus rad 3. Multiply by the conjugate. 4 minus 3 is 1. Beautiful denominator. Numerator 2 minus root 3. Answer choice C. And we are done with this problem. Let's get to another one. All right, so it's starting to interfere a little bit with the writing over here. I don't have a blanket that I can put over that and nail it in the wall and stuff like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and try to finish off this problem, and then we'll take a break until we get better lighting. Positive real numbers, x and y. This is the 12A problem 10, 2023. Positive real numbers, x and y, satisfy this equation and this equation. What is, and I will just read it, x plus y. So where to begin? Probably just plug in stuff in and see what happens. If we have an x squared here, when we expand this, we're going to get an x squared. Maybe we should expand it then. So y squared minus, and there might be a way to square root both sides too. On this side, you'd get the absolute value of y minus x. Maybe you could move the x squared over. I don't know. But this is how I'm going to go about it. We'll see what happens. Y squared minus 2xy plus x squared, but I'm going to write the y cubed. The fact that you can make a substitution probably means you should. And if the y squared had been y cubed, I would think about that also, but this isn't a direct substitution, kind of easy to do. Equals 4y squared. Now I've got y, but now I've got xy. Maybe I don't want the x there. let's square root both sides. You're going to get x equals y to the power of 3 over 2. So if y is to the power of 3 over 2 and I drop it here and I multiply it with y to the first, you're going to have minus 2y to the 5 over 2. I'll put the y cubed in front because it's bigger than the y squared. And I'll subtract 4y squared from 1y squared to get 3y squared negative. So minus 3y squared. Yep, and that's equal to 0. Now what do? Well, can y equal 0? It looks like it can, but that would make x 0, and it says they're positive real numbers. That doesn't work either. Let's go ahead and divide, I guess, by y since it's not 0. And is it going to help? We don't know. It could make it easier to look at, right? And that's generally a good idea. So if I divide here by y squared, I get y. If I divide here, and y squared is the smallest power we have available. So now we're going to do y minus 2y to the 1/2, and then minus 3 equals 0. It looks like a quadratic with square root of y as the variable. Let's replace square root of y with u just so we can see it better. This would then be u squared minus 2u minus 3 equals 0, and we are off to the races. We don't really need the -1. We do want the 3 then, because why? The square root of a number is not going to be negative in the real number system. Or maybe even the other one as well. Yeah, now that I think about it. So you're going to get u is equal to 3, and that's equal to the square root of y, and that means that y is 9. Let's go right here to what x is. 9 square rooted is 3 to the 3rd power 27. X 27, y 9. Put them together. X plus y 36. That's all for now. I will catch you when I have more time to film. Hope you guys had fun with this competition. I thought it was a great one considering the last few years and their difficulty. All right, see you in the next video.